what a lot of us don't realize is that in the simulation of what we call society, which is a 3D matrix that is pre-programmed by a set of people who have been oppressing others on this planet for eons. And this set of people have studied cultures, how to create cultures, how to steer family systems into different directions, how to degrade values, how to make it difficult for people to exist in a frequency of love because they're constantly being bombarded with the frequency of fear. They have studied the Kleepaw. They have studied the tree of life. They understand and overstand what creates reality on a mass collective level. So for any problem that anyone has ever brought me in our one-on-ones or when I was doing groups, the root cause of that problem always goes back to the system that is in place. You cannot be healthy in a society that is programmed to be sick. This is why many of us have walked away from religion. This is why many of us no longer feel we belong working for large corporations that do not care about their employees. This is why many of us feel that we no longer fit in with our biological family in a way that is healthy. This is why many of us are now discovering the issues with entertainment. So every structure that society was built around is now showing itself, is showing its true intentions. We're seeing the fractures. We're seeing the collapse, the destruction of what was. And these things are causing a mass level of dysfunction on every level. So what happened was the woman who is no longer respected as someone capable of leading, as someone capable of giving advice and guidance and being an oracle, being the healer, being the medicine woman, being the shaman, being the one that can communicate with spirits, being the one who can see, feel, experience, hear the spirit realm and the messages that it brings. Women have a very specific reason that we exist. And the reason that we exist was not respected by the patriarchal system that was put in place after the matrilineal system. The matrilineal system was not broken, but this small group of people who you can find if you do your own research, because I'm not going to get into that here, because as we all know, freedom of speech ain't functioning the way that it used to. And that's because the veil is down and everything is coming out. And so they are trying to preserve their level of supremacy by making it difficult for people to speak the truth. So here's the truth. The woman became the battery. She became the fuel. She became the gas that was needed to keep us dysfunctional. And so what happened was, in order for them to be in a position of supremacy above us, the collective, the masses, they needed women to not be able to physiologically tap into the spirit realm and touch the physical realm with that level of wisdom. So in order for them to stop that from happening, they program men from a very young age to be so emotionally damaged that they will view a woman in her power as a threat to his existence. So we've been trying to build families and sustain relationships while having a civil warfare energetically happen between men and women. So a lot of men who have mother wounds, which is also by design, you can socially engineer this. Eugenics isn't just about taking people out. It's about how can we make them sick long enough for us to have power over them and have wealth because of their sickness. So what happened was, because men view women as threat, because their mothers were viewed as a threat to their existence, not all of them, but a mass majority have some type of pain that they feel was created by their mother. So what happened was that wound created thinking errors. So whenever they view the feminine, this could be their mothers, their wives, their girlfriends, their daughters, their sisters, the filter created to manipulate their perception is going to keep the dysfunction alive. See, we have to stop looking at ourselves as being small and insignificant. Because if you have a soul and you're here, you are a very powerful being, which means you can create chaos or you can bring order. And so we were turned into chaos creators in our unconsciousness, in our patterns, in our distortions. We have been disillusioned and deceived. We can't see things for what they really are if we're trying to operate with a dysregulated nervous system. You will never be able to see anything for what it is. You will not be able to see the truth because your dysregulated nervous system is going to block the truth. So they used the entertainment, Hollywood, religion, sports, all of these things that are part of our lives that seem natural really was socially engineered to keep us in this low vibrational frequency. That's what keeps us incarnating into karmic debt on this planet. It's not just the personal mistakes that we make. This is a system. So in order to heal, you must completely detox the system out of your body. You must decolonize and deconstruct your mind. You must no longer identify with the system and the beliefs and values that you inherited, not the ones you created and chose for yourself. Awakening is about realizing that I have inherited beliefs and created values that are not really in alignment with love. They were created by the wounds that were created by the system. And so we come together and we try to date and we get married, we get in relationships, we have children, whether that's on purpose or not. And we're existing in a cesspool. Now, I want you to think about etymology and language. The etymology of one of the main groups of people that are used to create culture, which are quote unquote black people. Black means dead. So the spell casting by calling the people who would be used to create ripples across the planet through culture, through music, through art, through entertainment, through sports. We are some of the most severely discriminated, wounded people on this planet, on every continent. Any continent I have studied, the darker skinned people have the most difficulties. And this could be hard to grasp if you're first beginning to awaken to the truth of the simulated reality that's being programmed by a small group of people who benefit on our dysfunction and distortion of reality. So when you think about ancient Kemet and the Book of the Dead, that book was so far ahead of time if we look at it in a linear fashion, because it is literally talking about navigating the underworld. Dead people aren't people who no longer have breath in their body. Dead people are also people who are not living life because they're so busy trying to survive it. So if you take hit after hit after hit from one decade to the other, you become so riddled with bullets that you really are no longer alive. A lot of people don't feel alive anymore. There's a sense of apathy. Things don't bring excitement like they used to. It seems like things that used to make us happy don't make us happy anymore. We're starting to notice how unalive we really feel. And it is because of this that we are disconnected from our soul. We have souls, but are we connected to source through the soul? You cannot connect to source, the creation energy of all things, that field of creation, unless you connect to your soul. But you can't connect to your soul if you don't know the ways that you have been spell cast into creating dysfunction. And what happens is, once the man starts to feel the impact of his emotional immaturity, oftentimes the woman tries to make up for it. So she's going to listen to all the podcasts, and she's going to read all the books, and she's going to go and find therapists. She's going to find relationship coaches. I have done all of this. I went and found a high priestess. I wanted to study and learn sex magic to see if that could be used to heal the relationship issues. When I tell you I have done it all and tried it all, and most of it is public. If you are new to Campson and Untamed Oracle, I've been doing this for a long time. If you are listening to my new channel, my old channel was me going through all of these different systems, learning and teaching what I was learning as a student of life myself. So by us being called Black people, that created a frequency field around our culture. And it's like a black hole, and it sucks energy. It siphons, it takes energy. And we also have to deal with stepping out into the real world and experiencing racial disparities in the healthcare system. This is hurting women at rates that you couldn't even imagine. So the body is breaking down. The mind is breaking down. But the structures put in place to help us with that also have this virus of supremacy and who is less than. So we're not getting the health care, we're not getting the mental health care that we need to actually heal. This is not a coincidence. This is a design. So the root of everything, we could talk about chakras, the energy systems that have been thrown off. They are thrown off by this. And the sad part about this is a lot of us don't discover how deep our dysfunction goes until we get in our 40s and 50s. That's the truth. On a hormonal level, not only are women having this difficulty with getting help outside of their home, but a lot of women aren't getting the emotional support that they need. And it's not because men are not capable of love. Men are capable of love when they do the work necessary to hold space for love. They have been socially engineered to seek pleasure, to seek validation, to seek approval, to be allowed to be the leader without doing the work to be able to lead. This is the root of the patriarchy. It put men in a position that their nervous system could not sustain. So a lot of them learn to fake it till they make it, until they are no longer capable of faking it. So as we get older and as the wear and tear starts to become more obvious, then the fractures in the foundation of the reality that we have created start to surface. And this will manifest in your physical reality with stuff breaking down inside of your home, stuff breaking down inside of your relationship with your children, stuff breaking down inside of your finances, things breaking down within the spiritual practice that you are committed to. So going back to where I started, the true epidemic is emotional immaturity. And that doesn't mean that we have not been victimized. There is no one person you listening to me can blame for where you are. This was an epigenetic, socially engineered state of being. For those of us in the spiritual community, we call this generational curses. These are simply patterns of dysfunction. When you heal the patterns of dysfunction, you must first become aware of it. But the issue is a firmware has been programmed into the minds of men where most of them are extremely uncomfortable with any form of criticism. And if you try to bring an issue up, no matter how you bring it up, a dysregulated nervous system within a man is going to say, she is attacking me, she is a threat. It's like being Terminator, and they see this red alert popping up, threat. This is a threat. This is a threat. You are being targeted. You are being targeted. When really all the woman is trying to do is trying to find a resolution to a problem that's hurting her on a level he can't feel or see. Because most men cannot feel that deeply to know how much their actions hurt others. Because your nervous system, if it is dysregulated, its only job is to protect you. Its job is not to be emotionally attuned with anybody around you. So they are detached. There's a firewall up. And the patriarchy created a virus within the minds of men that view women who try to seek resolutions as a threat. Over time, the woman physiologically starts to break down. As she gets older, she isn't creating estrogen the way that she was, so she doesn't have the capacity to caretake anymore. She's not going to have the energy to be the one overextending herself and going the extra mile. She's not going to be able to be the one who is cooking and keeping up with what's in the kitchen and the kids' doctor's appointment, her doctor's appointment, what's happening at school, school events, trying to work, make money, trying to manage a household, trying to manage bills and budgets. It's so much that women do that's invisible. And trying to keep up with life, the life that we've built, without the energy or support system to do that. And that energy for a woman is emotional. Women are like flowers and plants. We do not thrive without water. Emotions are the element of water. We literally come from water. Water upside down is matter. Change the A to an O and you have mother. So water is the mother of all existence and creation, which means our emotions is always creating something. It's always giving birth to something. So she's trying to keep up. Her body isn't making the hormones necessary to keep up. Her cortisol levels may be too high for her to manage stress. So the stress that she has already stored inside of her body, in her tissues, is there. But now there's an accumulation of stress because her and her partner have poor conflict resolution strategies in place. So now more stress is accumulating on top of the stress that she has absorbed, because women are natural absorbers. We are sponges. We are reservoirs. We are built to hold and contain babies. A baby could be anything energetically. So we hold this pain inside of our wombs. Every time a wounded man has entered into a woman's womb, he has left an energetic imprint of his own traumas inside of her. So not only does she have her trauma, but she has his. She has her mama's trauma and her daddy's trauma. And she's trying to exist in a society that doesn't yet see her as an asset. And so what a lot of us learn how to do was to overfunction so that the underfunctioning system and partners don't create more stress for us. So we end up becoming hyper responsible, hyper independent, hyper codependent. We need co-regulation. We need safe people to interact with, to be healthy, and to feel safe. But what happens when that has been taken away? So if the woman is emotionally, energetically tied to everybody else's comfort in her reality, she isn't going to be able to take care of herself properly, because most of her time and energy is going into overfunctioning to make up for whatever is underfunctioning in her life. Women are more sensitive to energy, and our nervous systems are 5 times more sensitive to stress. We are 4 times more likely to leave this earth because of some type of disease, many of them that begin with a C. We are experiencing autoimmune disease at a rate that has never been seen before. And statistics show that indigenous women have the highest rates in those 2 groups. And I hadn't even begun talking about chronic fatigue, burnout. Because our statistics are showing us who has become the batteries to fuel the simulated reality. The movie Matrix is more like a documentary to understand the structure of reality and the codes that keep the prison planet operational. I'm going to give you one more thing, and that is this. If men put half the amount of time into studying emotional regulation, into studying themselves, to truly know themselves, to regulate their nervous system enough to be a sacred space for their women and their children, to be able to deconstruct the things that they do that create ripples of dysfunction in reality. If they do that, our entire world would change. And it would not be very slow. It would be a really quick, transformational shift in the paradigm because they are that powerful. They would be able to heal their women. They would no longer hurt their women in an effort to protect themselves from a perceived threat that is not really happening. This is a holographic reality. I call this holographic love. That's existing in a framework of love that is hollow, meaning shallow. It lacks depth. And it doesn't allow for the frequency of love to do the healing that it can do. Because most of us are short-sighted, because we have been programmed to be short-sighted, we're not looking any further than tomorrow, next week. Maybe you are the type of person that set 5-year goals, create a system, stick to it, and reach those goals. Now, I happen to have disciplined myself to be that kind of person. But because I have the gift of being an oracle, not only do I look at where I would like to be and make a plan for how to get there and take action in the areas that's necessary for me to get there, but I'm also looking into the next lifetime. Most of us aren't doing that. And that's detrimental to a person who incarnated in this lifetime to be a spiritual being. I think about how my actions create ripples in reality and whether or not I'm creating karma, which is some type of negative outcome that's created by my own dysfunction, or am I creating dharma, which is the more beneficial merit-based outcome from the way that I function. And I look into how it affects my children. I think about these things before I say things, before I make decisions, before I do things. I think about the ripple effect in reality that I'll create. But this is not something that everybody does. So from my perspective as an oracle, this is what I see happening. Those who want to stay in a timeline where they are the ones at the top. In order to be at the top, you have to be the top predator. Okay? We know the cycle of life. We know that the apex predator is usually the one has studied all of the others and knows exactly how to position itself to rule and dominate. In order for them to stay in that position, they must keep others blinded. They must also keep themselves invisible. They must be the hidden hand. This is what Wizard of Oz was really about. So what happens is, even if men are unconsciously hurting women and children, it's still creating a ripple through reality. And that ripple doesn't stop in this lifetime. It goes into the next lifetime. So by doing this, they transfer their karmic debt onto the men. The small group of wizards transfer the karmic debt of all the things that they're doing onto the men through these systems of distortion. And in that dysfunction, even if it is unconscious, the pain and the hurt that is caused, the men will have to face the ripple that they created in the next lifetime. This is how you keep a prison planet system alive, by manipulating lifetime after lifetime so that the incarnation process is filled with density that's going to prevent them from coming into the next life at a higher vibration. As long as the women are wounded, physiologically ill, too chronic fatigue to really do anything to change, too dependent on men to provide, to be able to create new ripples in reality with the wisdom that they are being given from the goddesses who were exiled and hid into the matrilineal DNA. All they needed to do was to keep us incapacitated. But they needed to keep the men dysfunctional. And this is how you keep the prison planet system alive. Now, with all of these things that I've shared with you, I'm pretty sure that I've said some things to you that you have never heard before, yet it makes sense. It resonates. This is the gift of a true oracle. In the beginning of my spiritual awakening, if you have been following me for a while, there has been a shift in what I teach, how I teach, when I teach, and why I teach. I see the trends. I see the trending topics in the spiritual community. And those are usually topics that I do not talk about, because they're not going to really bring any transformation. Intellectually, it may be exciting. It may be information that resonates, but it's not going to help you change. It's not going to help you create ripples in reality that you're proud of. So I could get you really excited and entertain you with a lot of spiritual talk, and you'll be feeling every bit of it. And then you will leave my channel and go right back to your life and not have anything that you can use to heal and to change it. This is why my numbers look the way they do. It is not because of a lack of wisdom. It is because I am the antithesis to the system of the prison planet. So when you listen to me speak, the energy that I put into my projects and the things that I do is very sacred. And for those of you who acknowledge that, and for those of you who reciprocate, for every one of you who share, for every one of you who have joined my coven, for every one of you that has purchased my new ebook, The Dark Goddess Guide to Ending Energetic Fuckery, for those of you who know that you're accessing something that is really way ahead of its time. You are the ones that are chosen. to anchor these practices and to change. I've told you so much, and I've given you a lot that you can work with, but it's not going to do anything for you unless you actually be devoted to the practice. So on a psychological level, I've done that work. On a spiritual level, I did the work. The physiological level, the biological level, dealing with my physicality, that is my focus. So I weave all of these things together. And though what I'm teaching now may seem less complex than what I've done before, it is just one of the most transformational things that I have ever learned. So when I tell you that whatever issue you're having, whatever goal you desire to achieve, that the way to reach that is healing the mind, the body, to reconnect to the soul. Period. That is the equation that's going to give you the life that you deserve. So I hope that this brought some clarity. Intuitively, I was wide open to share this channel message. Depending on when you hear this, whatever you're experiencing, I'm pretty sure that you found something in this for you. I hope that you did. I hope that that's why you stayed. And I want you to know that as we go deeper into these years that are passing by so quickly, this is where the rubber meets the road. And for the people who may not be perfect, but you are devoted, this is not about perfection, because a lot of us are perfectionists and we're always disappointed about something in life because we can't function the way we used to. We can't ignore the truth the way that we used to. We can't deny the amount of pain that we're in the way that we used to. Our coping mechanisms don't feel as good as they used to. The old things do not work anymore because we are being called to build a new earth, which requires us to make new ripples in reality. But if your nervous system is dysregulated and you're not working on that every single day, if your body is needing healing and you're not focused on that every single day, if your mind has thinking errors, schemas, okay, these things that you think and believe that are based in the wounds of abandonment and betrayal and negligence and abuse and narcissistic abuse, gaslighting. If you have those deceptions and it's hard for you to see things as they really are, then you're going to continue to create ripples where you will experience more of that. You are a walking antenna. You are the portal. And if you do not focus on yourself and what you must change, what you must let go of, what you must be devoted to, nothing will change in this world and nothing will change in your life. But when you devote to this, even if it's just 15 minutes a day in the beginning, you devote to this, I am telling you, you will see change. And that doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable. That doesn't mean that you're not going to enter into the void space where you are no longer the person you used to be, but you have not yet materialized into the person that you want to be. There are phases through this cycle of alchemy. And in those cycles, when you have instructions, it makes navigating them more fulfilling, even though they probably are difficult. And that is my goal, turning the pain into purpose. And ever since I created that online course, I'm saying turning pain into purpose everywhere I look now. When I created that, it was an aha moment that I downloaded and spent a couple of years creating that online course. That's still available as well. So for the souls who lock in and for the souls who use what's available and really commit to that, you are the ones who are going to be the anchors for the new earth. And 9 times out of 10, you are the one that has been outcast, looked over in the black sheep. You have been the one that wear a mask like you're functioning well, when really you are dying in the inside. And you feel disconnected. And you feel like there's something missing. And you feel like you're just surviving. You're just getting through the day, getting through the week. That's not life, and that's not living. And I get it because I'm right here with you. So I'm not speaking to you as a teacher who has overcome everything. And I'm on the other side. I'm speaking to you from the underworld. I am dealing with it. I am facing it. I am being vulnerable and transparent. I am healing it. And I am not positioning myself to be the perfect spiritual guru. Because all of that keeps us in a state of intellectualizing our spiritual journey instead of actually embodying it. The goal is not to become someone else, but to activate who you already are. It's just been suppressed. And glasses have been put over our eyes that make it difficult for us to see who we are, to see our divinity beyond the identity that we were given. So in my dark feminine teachings that I have downloaded from the dark goddesses with some experiences that, I mean, it still blows my mind that I have the experiences that I have, and this is how I learn these things. I'm not getting this from a book. But before I leave, I want to say this because this is one of the things that inspired me. But Dr. Hawkins is somebody I like to listen to. And he's wrote books about, you know, how women trying to be in relationships, how, you know, it's hurting them. And I resonate a lot with a lot of things that he say. And a lot of things that he say sound like echoes of things that I've said. But someone interviewing him asked him, why are there so many emotionally immature men? What happened? Is this a Western culture thing, or is this everywhere? And it's kind of everywhere. But the Western culture is really the pinnacle of it. We are ground zero for emotionally immature men. And he asked him, how did society end up here? And he said, that's the one thing I don't know. And I would love for somebody to enlighten me on it. And the light bulb went off. And I said, this is what I've been teaching. This is the thing that I know. I know something that a lot of people who are teaching in this area don't yet know, which is, what is the systemic, energetic program that brought us to this point of decay and dysfunction? So I want to thank you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This channel message has been brought to you from my heart to yours, and I would love to hear your takeaway. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.
Take you higher. Yeah. I got this sacred, that sacred fire.